What's going on, guys? MMuniz here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to go over a simple 5-step guide to investing in 2023. I'm not going to tell you guys what to invest in. I'm just going to give you guys 5 steps that should apply to the majority of people, and you can go line by line in setting yourself up for the future for financial independence. So at the start of the video, we'll break down each step one by one. Then we'll go over some tips when it comes to investing and how to best set yourself up for success. At the end of the video, I'll give you my personal opinions and what I'm actually doing myself when it comes to following this guide and, what are my plans for 2023 and beyond. Now, one thing I do want to make a quick note of is everyone's financial situation is going to be a little bit different. If you or you and your spouse don't make enough money to do everything on this guide, that's completely okay. The best time to invest was yesterday, and the next best time is today. So even if you can't do everything, just taking one step forward in the right direction is going to be better than not doing anything at all. So keep that in mind. If you can only accomplish a couple of these goals, that's completely okay. You're still doing better than not doing it at all. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So step 1 is going to be take advantage of your employer-sponsored retirement plan, especially if there's a company match. So if your company offers a 3% match on a 401k contribution or a 5% match on a 403b contribution, you want to contribute up to that amount. That is step 1. Take advantage of company match if it is available to you. There's absolutely no reason you wouldn't do this. I would even recommend doing this prior to doing anything else in your financial life, as it is 100% free money and a 100% return on your money every time that you contribute. Now, when it comes to step 2, this one's not going to apply to everybody. But for the people that have a high deductible health plan, or for the people that qualify for an HSA or a health savings account, you want to make sure that you are maximizing the annual contributions for 2023 for this. Now in 2023, this is going to be $3,850 for an individual. Now if you're married, the annual contribution is $7,750. So these maximums are actually more than the prior year, which it's adjusted because of the cost of living increases, basically inflation. One thing to keep in mind though is if you're over the age of 55, you can do an additional catch-up contribution of $1,000. And if you're married, as long as they have a separate account as well, they can do an additional contribution as well. And the last thing I want to say, 2 things. Remember, an HSA is a health savings account. It is not an investment. So you have to actually take the funds inside of that account and invest them. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the video. The second thing I want to talk about is with an HSA, a lot of times you're going to get a contribution from your employer. And the way that the maximum annual contribution works is it's the employee contributions and the employer. So if your company gives you $1,000, you're only going to be able to contribute, if you're an individual, an additional $2,850. You want to make sure that you're keeping that in mind. Employer contributions do count towards your annual maximum contributions of an HSA. But now let's talk about step 3. So what is step 3? Now step 3 is going to be to maximize the contributions to your Roth IRA. And some people aren't going to be able to have a Roth IRA. Some people will only be able to have a traditional IRA. There's a lot of stipulations in who can have what, but for this video, we're going to talk about the Roth IRA, which is after-tax contributions. Your money's going to grow in an account, once again, like the HSA, as long as it's invested, it's going to grow tax-free, and it's going to allow you to pull your money out in retirement tax-free as well. Just remember, it is an account. It's up to you to invest those funds. Now for 2023, the maximum is going to be $6,500 if you're an individual. And if you're filing married, then both of you can have individual Roth IRAs for that amount as well. Once again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of stuff involved with Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. So you're going to need to do a little bit more research. I do have some videos linked below that can help out with HSAs, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, and that kind of stuff. If you want to check them out, they're in the description. Now moving on to step number 4. So step number 4 is actually going to go back to step number 1. Instead of just putting money up to our employer match, we're going to actually max out these accounts. Now once again, in 2023, the annual contribution limits for these have increased. And now if you're an individual, you can put in $22,500. Once you're over the age of 50, there are catch-up contributions allowed as well. But at the end of the day, step 4 is going to be to maximize your employer-sponsored retirement plan. So if it's a 401k, 403b, whatever it is, make sure you're taking full advantage of that for step number 4. And now step 5, and it's kind of funny because a lot of people will already have this but not be doing the above steps. And this is going to be to live below your means, and then any discretionary income you have, after you've already taken care of yourself and your family, put it into a taxable brokerage account. A taxable brokerage account does not have annual contribution limits. and it will be taxed as ordinary income or qualified dividends. There's a lot of different tax situations that will come with that, but basically you spend less money so you can invest the rest into that taxable account only after you've already taken advantage of your tax advantaged account, because when it's tax advantaged, that means you're essentially getting free money. You're not having to pay Uncle Sam because of those advantages, and there's absolutely no reason that everybody shouldn't take advantage of those. So now let's talk about some basic investing tips. And before I go into this, I do want to say that this isn't financial advice. You know, I'm not a financial advisor. These are just my opinions. But if I'm going to give anyone a tip, I'm going to say this. It's better to invest in something like a broadly diversified index fund or ETF, something like the S&P 500 VOO, for instance, or maybe even the total world stock market, VT. Invest in something like that. Try not to speculate too much on individual stocks or cryptocurrencies. The great thing about ETFs and index funds is that they hold a basket of companies, and as a company does poorly or doesn't fit the certain requirements to fit into that fund, then it's going to be removed. So all the work is taken away from you as the investor, and it's handled on the back end. You don't need to worry about that. Yes, you do have to pay expense fees. You have to pay for that service, but at the end of the day, it's going to make your life a lot easier, and it's also going to not allow certain psychological aspects to come into play. You're going to buy, hold, long-term, dollar cost average. The next tip I have is if your brokerage allows DRIP or dividend reinvestment, then you want to take advantage of that. So what will happen is as certain companies, whether you're holding individual stocks or ETFs, as they pay out dividends, those dividends are going to be reinvested back into the fund or back into the individual company. You want to do that because, once again, this is taking the work away from you, and it's being all handled on the back end, so you don't need to do anything. Quick note, something that is not commonly talked about is even if you reinvest the dividends automatically, you still owe taxes on them on a yearly basis if they aren't in a tax advantaged account. So if you're holding these in your M1 Finance taxable brokerage account and you receive a dividend, at the end of the year, you will have to claim that dividend. So just keep that in mind. Now the next thing, and part of the reason I brought up M1 is because I like how it handles this next aspect, is you want to automate everything. So with a brokerage like M1, and honestly almost all of the others, you can set up automatic investing on a weekly or monthly basis. Now I personally like M1 because it gives you pies and you can do certain percentages into certain investments, and it does it all for you. It will automatically take $100 a week from your bank account and disperse it to keep a certain percentage of each portion of your pie. And that is awesome. So it takes all the guesswork out of your hands and it does it automatically for you. So I like that. The other great thing is something like a 401k, it's automated. As soon as you have that money coming out of your paycheck, you're never even gonna know it was there. You're not seeing it leave your account. If you can maximize your 401k or 403b, whatever, and get used to the fact that you're gonna now be making $2,000 a week or $1,000 a week, whatever it is you make after taxes, then you don't even notice that you're putting thousands of dollars a year into your 401k because you're not seeing it. You're only seeing what you take home. So if you don't see it, you can't spend it. Now the last little tip I want to talk about is think about where you are on your investing journey. If you're young, you're 18, you're not planning on retiring for 40 more years or whatever it is, then you may be able to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you want to speculate more on those individual stocks or cryptos like I talked about. However, if you're getting closer to retirement, you may want to start thinking about putting more of your funds into something like dividend paying ETFs or just large cap stocks that are going to be less volatile. Maybe you want to focus on bonds, stuff like that. So think about being more conservative as you're getting closer to retirement. And then as you're younger, that may be a chance to be a bit more aggressive to try to maximize your gains. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to your own risk tolerance and what type of investor you are. Now, with that being said, I did say at the end of this video, I would talk about my personal strategy for 2023. So what am I doing? Well, step one, obviously I am maxing out my employer contribution. Luckily, my employer matches up to 8%, which is pretty incredible. So I get a really good return. Now, step two, the HSA, that actually doesn't apply to me and my family. We're in a certain situation where we're not quite certain that we think that an HSA is the best option for us in terms of versus a traditional healthcare plan. So we are taking advantage of a different style of insurance. However, in a couple years, more than likely, we're going to go back to the HSA. We'll start investing in that, and then we'll be spending money out of pocket to pay for our medical expenses because I do want to take advantage of a triple tax advantaged account. Now, step three was maximize our Roth IRA. Once again, this is going to be something new for 2023. My wife and I had a special situation where I wasn't able to have a Roth IRA, and neither was she, due to income limits. However, now we can have those. So 100% I will be maxing out my personal Roth IRA, and we are going to do our best to max out my wife's as well. We aren't rich, so for us, we have to pick and choose where we're putting money, and we're going to do our best to maximize both. Maybe we'll accomplish it at the end of the year. We'll see what happens. Now, step 4, maximizing the 401k. That has already been done. I have already changed my contributions for the year of 2023, and it's already coming out of my paycheck. My budget is set. I will never even know that now I'm contributing an extra $50 or $60, whatever it is, per paycheck into my 401k. So that is maxed, and no matter what, that will happen. You know, assuming nothing happens crazy out of the ordinary. And then the last thing is step 5. I do always contribute to 2 taxable brokerage accounts for myself. And then we also contribute to some taxable brokerage accounts for my daughter. And my wife does hers as well. So we all have a little bit of money that goes into those. But honestly, when it comes to our total portfolio, those numbers are very minimal just because we don't have that much money yet. We're still young. We got a long time until we retire. So with that being said, I hope you guys got something out of the video today. I did get the idea for this from an Instagram post from a guy called the Personal Finance Club. I love his channel. I think it's awesome. So, you know, go search him out on Instagram. He posts some great stuff. I want to know from you guys, what is your plan for 2023? Let me know down in the comments below. I do my best to respond to all comments on all my videos. And with that being said, if you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. We do weekly videos on anything related to personal finance or fitness. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care.